This is a Fox News update. I'm Jackie Abanez. Another unprecedented day in American history as former President Trump is indicted for a fourth time. A Georgia grand jury has charged Trump and several of his allies on state charges over Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the state's 2020 election results. A total of 18 others, including Trump's former aide Mark Meadows and then attorney Rudy Giuliani, are also facing charges in the case. The sweeping 97-page indictment has a total of 41 counts. Trump is named in 11 of those counts, including trying to convince a Georgia official to come up with additional votes.
The grand jury issued arrest warrants for those who are charged. I am giving the defendants the opportunity to voluntarily surrender no later than noon on Friday, the 25th day of August, 2023.
Is there any chance you take a plea deal in Georgia?
We did nothing wrong. We don't ever take a plea deal. It's called election interference. You know what that is? Because these indictments are brought out by fight. You can't even put two sentences together.
Meanwhile, the New York judge overseeing Trump's hush money case says he will not recuse himself. Trump requested the recusal in part because the judge has made donations to Democrats. His daughters also reportedly work for Democratic organizations. The judge says it would not be in the public's interest if he stepped down. Trump is facing more than 30 counts in this case. And the Mar-a-Lago property manager charged in former President Trump's classified documents case is scheduled to be arraigned today. Carlos de Oliveira was originally supposed to be arraigned last week, but that hearing was postponed because he did not have a Florida-based lawyer. De Oliveira and Trump aide Walt Nauta face multiple charges related to the Trump's alleged mishandling of the documents. Trump and Nauta maintain their innocence.
I want people to know that there are people out here suffering, and we need donations. We need people shipping things out here. We need families fed. We need so much help.
Search and rescue efforts ramping up in Maui as the death toll continues to climb. The devastating wildfires there are blamed for around 100 deaths, but officials warn that number is expected to rise. More than 1,000 people still missing. This as questions and accusations over the government's actions before and during the fire are growing more intense. Fox News national correspondent William Lajeunesse has the latest.
As residents and fire crews work to put out America's deadliest wildfire in more than a century, challenges and controversies are mounting, with growing questions about where and how the fire started.
We never heard any sirens.
And why Maui's state-of-the-art siren warning system wasn't activated.
Generally speaking, we do not have sirens for fires. I don't know if anybody in any other state does. The sirens tell you to go in and turn on your television and listen to the news reports. It's usually for tsunami warnings and hurricanes.
The state's emergency management agency says the all-hazard siren system can be used for natural and human-caused events, including wildfires.
It's been so hard, very hard.
As families hope loved ones will be found, search crews need help identifying the remains of those unaccounted for, asking relatives for DNA swabs.
The remains we're finding is through a fire that melted metal. We have to do rapid DNA to identify them.
There's also the challenge of finding housing for the thousands left homeless.
Lahaina was really small, nice historical place, and it's gone.
The first class action lawsuit already filed, claiming Hawaii's electric companies ignored warnings and kept power lines on during dangerous fire conditions. One company says it's too early to know the exact cause and who's to blame. Hawaii's governor is promising answers and redemption.
We will build back together. We will find out what we could have done to prevent such loss of life to the best of our ability.
Whether President Biden actually visits the island, we do not know. The administration says it is focused on recovery. In Kula, Hawaii, William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
Ex-NFL star Michael Orr is accusing his adopted parents of blindsiding him. You're probably familiar with his name. He's the subject of the movie The Blind Side. Orr accuses Sean and Leanne Toohey of tricking him into a conservatorship, which included signing away the legal authority to use his name in business deals after he turned 18. The 37-year-old is now seeking to end the conservatorship and wants the Tooheys barred from using his name and likeness. He also wants the millions he claims they earned off of his name. Now to a wild story in Daytona Beach, where a woman and her dog were startled by a black bear, and the encounter was all caught on camera. Fox's Manny Martinez spoke with the woman about the terrifying moments.
This is the moment Gina Helsel and her puppy Stuart came face to face with a black bear. Terrified, Helsel scrambled back inside while the bear walked away.
I thought there were just cats on our porch because there's always just cats on our porch. So I'm like, I'm going to take him out, let him bark at the cats, and we can sleep the rest of the night. But I got a surprise. Yogi was out there.
It happened Thursday around 3 a.m. It's her first bear encounter after 12 years in the neighborhood.
No, I've never been scared like that before. It was terrifying. I can remember thinking I'm glad I'm half asleep. Because if I were wide awake, I would be probably having a heart attack at this point.
The Florida Wildlife Commission estimates there are more than 4,000 bears across Florida. Mike Orlando leads FWC's bear management program.
That bear has probably been walking at 3 o'clock in the morning across your yard for the last 5 years. You just never knew it was happening until you got the Ring camera.
Orlando says bears become more active approaching the fall. They're looking to pack on pounds for the winter. Trash left outside is an easy target.
If they can find something that holds their interest, cat food, garbage, birdseed, they're going to stop and they're going to take advantage of that easy meal because those have high calories.
I'm always on the lookout for gators because we do get gators around here all the time. And I'm always on the lookout for snakes. And we have a lot of wildlife here, but I didn't expect it to be in my front door.
Manny Martinez, Fox 35 News.
And finally, check out this baby elephant. Definitely a lot less scary, captivating hearts across the globe. A zoo near London released this video of the calf rolling in the mud and running with her herd. Apparently the fun never stops, as new night vision camera caught her playing with the other elephants that were sleeping. I'm Jackie Ibanez, wishing you a pleasant flight. For more news on the go, log on to foxnews.com/mobile and download our apps. This is a Fox News update. I'm Jackie Ibanez. If you're traveling to the Pacific Northwest, you better be packing an umbrella and galoshes. That's because the region is getting pounded by waves of heavy rain that are threatening to cause significant flooding and flight delays over the coming days. It's part of what's known as an atmospheric river. The storm could dump more than a foot of rain on the already soaked region before it's all said and done. It might also bring more than a foot of snow to places in higher elevations. Drier weather moves in tomorrow. The rush to find a safe haven in the embattled Gaza Strip is becoming harder by the hour as Israel intensifies and expands its ground offensive against Hamas. Right now, the IDF is urging civilians to evacuate southern Gaza while its troops push deeper into the crowded area. Gazans, however, say there are no reliable safe places left for them to go. Many of these same people have already fled from the north to avoid the battles and airstrikes. As this new phase of the war begins, the U.S. is stepping up pressure on Israel to do more to protect those civilians. Fox News correspondent Trey Yangst has more from the Israel-Gaza border.
Israeli ground forces are now pushing deeper into the southern part of the Gaza Strip, with their sights set on the city of Khan Yunis. The IDF hitting Hamas targets from the sky overnight, after warning tens of thousands of civilians sheltering in the city to find another safe zone or risk getting caught in the crossfire.
Hamas only understands force. We will continue to strike it until we achieve the goals of the war, the dismantling of Hamas, the denial of its military capabilities, and the return of the hostages.
Many of those civilians now making their way to newly designated safe areas, based on detailed block-by-block maps in leaflet drops by the Israeli military. But many say movement is getting more dangerous as the IDF intensifies its attacks. And the Israeli government is under increasing international pressure to bring down the number of civilian deaths, a priority underscored by Vice President Harris over the weekend.
As Israel defends itself, it matters how. The United States is unequivocal. International humanitarian law must be respected.
It's also not clear if there will be another ceasefire. Talks broke down over the weekend, and no hostage releases are scheduled in the coming days. The families of those hostages now pleading with the White House to bring their loved ones home.
We really need President Biden and the entire U.S. Government to help us here and put international pressure on Hamas.
Israeli officials say there are still about 130 hostages being held by Hamas in Gaza. Along the Israel-Gaza border, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
As the Israel-Hamas war rages on, so does the corruption trial for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. His trial restarted yesterday after being suspended for 2 months following Hamas's deadly October attack. Netanyahu is facing charges of fraud, bribery, and breach of trust. The Biden administration is looking to create a naval task force to escort commercial ships through the Red Sea. This comes a day after 3 ships were attacked by alleged Iranian-backed rebels in Yemen. The vessels were targeted with missiles and 3 drones. Those drones were quickly shot down by a U.S. warship. The Pentagon considers such attacks a direct threat to international commerce and security.
This past weekend saw 4 attacks against 3 separate commercial vessels operating in international waters in the southern Red Sea. 3 vessels that are connected to 14 different nations, which goes to show you the extent to which this is truly a source of global concern and a threat to international peace and stability.
We're learning more about the former U.S. diplomat charged with spying for Cuba. Court papers unveiled yesterday alleged 73-year-old Manuel Roca engaged in secret activities with the Cuban government since at least 1981. That includes a meeting with Cuban intelligence operatives and providing false information to U.S. government officials. Roca's diplomatic career spans more than 2 decades and includes posts in Argentina and Bolivia. The U.S. Supreme Court is grappling with a major decision that could provide billions of dollars to combat the opioid crisis. At hand, whether a controversial settlement complies with federal bankruptcy code. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor explains.
I just don't want to see other families go through what my family has gone through.
Outside the Supreme Court, relatives who lost loved ones from the opioid crisis gathered in protest, many demanding justice for those lost.
We have to hope that the Supreme Court does the right thing.
Inside, the justices grappled with a challenge made by the Biden administration, questioning the legality of OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma's bankruptcy settlement. While nearly 60,000 victims support the deal, others say if approved, it unfairly lets the Sackler family off the hook, shielding them from the possibility of more civil lawsuits.
If this bankruptcy settlement is approved, they are forever shielded. And that's an abuse of the bankruptcy process.
Purdue Pharma's lawyer Monday argued a ruling against the plan would take a wrecking ball to the bankruptcy code.
Creditors and victims will be left with nothing, and lives literally will be lost. Nothing in the code commands that tragic result.
The DOJ maintains the deal would illegally extinguish the rights of people, aiming to sue those who made a fortune selling the prescription pills.
They were guilty of sin. We all know that.
A ruling is expected by early summer, but no matter the outcome, many of the victims' families want the Department of Justice to bring criminal charges against the Sackler family. Outside the Supreme Court, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
The stage for tomorrow night's 4th GOP presidential primary debate is getting smaller. Just 4 candidates now qualify. The list includes Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Frontrunner former President Trump is once again skipping the debate. And finally, this baby might not be a gymnast just yet, but he's really flipping cute. Look at this. Watch as the toddler tries to mimic a young girl's moves. The baby waddles behind her, attempting to do the stunt, but instead stops with one leg kicking behind him as he slowly falls to the grass. He is so cute. Like a true champ, he gets up and carries on with his life. I'm Jackie Ibanez, wishing you a pleasant flight. For more news on the go, log on to foxnews.com/mobile and download our apps.
This is a Fox News update. I'm Marianne Rafferty. The record-breaking heat across parts of the U.S. and around the globe is forcing airlines to take some drastic actions. They're reducing fuel loads, limiting the number of passengers and baggage on board, or waiting for temperatures to drop before taking to the skies. All of this is leading to flight delays, and experts say extreme heat can reduce the performance of engines and affect the lift of airplane wings. And Greece is just one of the places suffering through the extreme temperatures. The country is on track to beat its record for the longest heat wave in history. Greece is also dealing with multiple wildfires. The biggest fires are on the island of Rhodes, a popular tourist destination known for its beaches and ancient ruins. Fox News correspondent Ted Lindner has the latest.
A Greek island in flames, leaving tourists and residents scrambling to flee.
We're still waiting to see what will happen. We will definitely be one of the last to evacuate. There are still elderly people here.
Firefighters coming in from across Europe to help battle the 6th day of flames now burning on 3 different fronts. Greek officials say these wildfires on the island of Rhodes have forced about 19,000 people to evacuate so far. Some evacuees leaving on boats and planes, and some staying in makeshift shelters on safe parts of the island. Greece's Foreign Affairs Office says it's working to help tourists who may have left behind their travel documents during the rush.
This is the largest undertaking of safe transport of residents and tourists that have ever been carried out in our country.
Powerful blazes also overtaking the town of Mandra outside of Athens earlier this week. And in Loutraki, Greece, residents returning to find their homes in ruins.
Everything was destroyed. We have suffered too much damage. Too much. My husband has suffered a lot. I fear something might happen to him, but I am also in a miserable state.
All this as heatwave Cleon, nicknamed after an Athenian general, continues to scorch Greece. Still, summer vacationers have been flocking to take in the country's historic sites, braving the triple-digit temperatures. Some tourist spots, including the Acropolis, have been closing during afternoon hours to help employees beat the heat. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
Israeli lawmakers are expected to hold a vote today on one part of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to overhaul the judiciary. It comes as the Prime Minister continues to recover after emergency surgery to put in a pacemaker. It also comes as thousands of people continue to take to the streets in protest of the plan. Lawmakers will be voting on a reasonableness bill that would block the Israeli Supreme Court from voiding decisions or appointments that it deems unreasonable. The bill is expected to win approval in Parliament. Happening this week, Hunter Biden is expected to plead guilty to 2 tax misdemeanors in a Delaware court. It comes a week after the House Oversight Committee heard testimony from 2 IRS whistleblowers. They claim the Justice Department politicized the criminal probe. They also allege IRS investigators recommended charging the president's son with more serious crimes. Hunter is due in court on Wednesday. And major changes could be coming to Twitter this week, and one of them includes getting rid of its iconic bird logo. Fox News correspondent Christina Coleman explains.
We could be saying bye-bye birdie as soon as Monday. In a series of late-night tweets, Elon Musk says he's ready for yet another change at the social media company, tweeting, "And soon we shall bid adieu to the Twitter brand and gradually all the birds." And here's one possible look Musk wants to use, sending out this flashing neon X logo. Reaction so far seems mixed. X Corp is what Musk renamed Twitter earlier this year after buying the social media platform for $44 billion last year. He says he wants to create a super app like WeChat in China. He's also polling people about changing the default color on Twitter from blue to black, and about 75% so far are saying yes. It would be one of the many changes since Musk took over Twitter, including laying off 3/4 of its workforce to cut costs, naming a new CEO, and adding an $8 a month subscription service. This, of course, comes as Musk is competing with Mark Zuckerberg and Meta's new app Threads, a text-based version of Instagram. 100 million people signed up for that in the first 5 days of its launch. And on its website, Twitter says the Bluebird logo is its most recognizable asset, and that's why they're so protective of it. So we shall see if this iconic bluebird does fly away. Reporting in Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
We may soon get the answer to one of life's greatest mysteries. Are We Alone? On Wednesday, a House subcommittee will hold a hearing to explore firsthand accounts of UFOs and their possible threats to national security. Air Force veteran David Grush is among those set to testify. He has previously made claims that the government has withheld information pertaining to UFOs. A zoo in Sydney, Australia is saying "good day, mate" to a new furry friend. This is Parker. The 9-month-old koala is seen here leaving his mother's pouch for the first time. The zoo says they could not be happier to welcome him. I'm Marianne Rafferty, wishing you a pleasant flight. For more news on the go, log on to foxnews.com/mobile and download our apps. This is a Fox News update. I'm Marianne Rafferty. Millions of people just like you are hitting the roads and skies today, heading home from a long holiday weekend. And if you're planning to do some more traveling this summer, you're in for a real treat. Gas prices are expected to stay below $4 a gallon. Right now, the national average for a gallon stands at $3.57. That's about $1 less than at the same time last year. Airlines are also readying for the summer rush. Charles Watson has the details.
Next in line. From check-in, general security screening, to the security checkpoint, Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport is packed for the Memorial Day travel rush.
It's been extremely busy. See, I haven't flown since 2019, so I was just kind of amping myself up for this.
So we're expecting this to be a record-setting start to the summer travel season, and based on the way travel bookings are looking, there's a good chance that this summer could be one for the history books as well.
More than 40 million people are expected to travel this long weekend, with air travel set to exceed pre-pandemic levels and become one of the busiest holidays in years. Many passengers arrived at their gates with plenty of time to spare, hoping to beat the rush.
We've had so many flight hiccups in the past and travel hiccups in the past, we decided to get here early.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg putting the pressure on after last year's meltdowns at airports across the country due to staffing shortages.
Cancellation and delay rates were at unacceptable proportions last year, and it's important that that not happen again.
The good news for drivers hitting the road to their holiday destination, AAA says gas prices are down around 30 cents a gallon in the past 30 days, meaning it costs around $1 per gallon less than what it did last Memorial Day weekend. Another good sign for those who are traveling. The nation's airlines say they are better staffed and ready for the weekend and summer rush. In Atlanta, Charles Watson, Fox News.
An economic catastrophe is on the verge of being averted. Right now, President Biden and top congressional leaders are drumming up support for their tentative agreement on raising our nation's debt ceiling. Significant bipartisanship is needed to get the deal passed. The House will vote on the legislation Wednesday, giving the Senate time to consider it before the June 5th deadline. The two-year budget deal reportedly includes no new taxes, no new government programs, and strengthens requirements for food assistance. Leaders from both parties are optimistic the bill will get passed in time.
It protects Social Security. It protects Medicare. It protects Medicaid. It protects veterans. It protects the American people. Well, I do expect that there will be Democratic support once we have the ability to actually be fully briefed by the White House.
There is so much in this that's positive, and measure it to all the other debt ceilings. This is really a step in the right direction.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is awaiting a Senate trial after the state's Republican-led House votes to impeach him from office. The fellow Republican was immediately suspended from his duties after Saturday's vote. More than a dozen articles of impeachment are being brought against him, including bribery and abuse of public trust. Paxton calls the impeachment votes illegal. Pope Francis is back in action after recovering from a high fever that forced him to cancel audiences on Friday. The pontiff led thousands of worshipers yesterday at St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. The last time Pope Francis spiked a serious fever was in March, when he was hospitalized for nearly a week with bronchitis. The battle over becoming the next Republican presidential nominee is heating up. Frontrunner Donald Trump and newly announced candidate Florida Governor Ron DeSantis are already trading sharp jabs at one another. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has more on the war of words.
Although Governor Ron DeSantis officially kicks off his ground campaign in Iowa later this month, he's busy trying to kneecap his current rival, former President Trump, saying he thinks the GOP's top contender is moving to the left.
I don't know what happened to Donald Trump. This is a different guy today
than when he was running in 2015 and 2016. And I think the direction that he's going with his campaign is the wrong direction.
DeSantis' long-awaited announcement on Twitter ran into some technical problems. Despite that, the news did create some major revenue for his campaign, bringing in a record-breaking $8.2 million in donations in the first 24 hours.
I think Ron DeSantis' popularity surprised Elon Musk and his engineers, and it took down the site for about 15 or 20 minutes, but we got back up.
Trump now pushing back against the latest attacks, poking fun at the Florida governor's entrance into the race and calling his rollout a, quote, disaster.
Rob DeSanctimonious and his poll numbers are dropping like a rock. The question, is Rob just young, inexperienced, and naive, or, more troubling, is he a fool who has no idea what the hell he's doing?
South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, who officially joined the Republican field of Nikki Haley, Asa Hutchinson, and Vivek Ramaswamy on Monday, warned that Democrats could use the words of GOP candidates against each other.
Everything we say about each other, the Democrats will weaponize against all of us, no matter who the nominee is.
The Biden campaign has not released the amount of money it has raised since the president announced he was running for re-election over a month ago. At the White House, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
And finally, a Kentucky man's dumb luck has him laughing all the way to the bank. Michael Schlimmer says he ran out of gas earlier this month and coasted into the gas station. He says he had $40 on him, so he bought $20 in gas and a single $20 scratch-off ticket. Well, you guessed it, that ticket ended up making him win big. He's now $1 million richer. I'm Marianne Rafferty, wishing you a pleasant flight. For more news on the go, log on to foxnews.com/mobile and download our apps.
This is a Fox News update. I'm Kevin Cork. If you're flying to Southern California, you'd better have packed your raincoat and goulashes because you are headed for a real mess. For the second time in less than a week, a fire hose of rain is absolutely pummeling the region, causing life-threatening flash flooding and multiple landslides. Damaging wind gusts have also been reported, leaving hundreds of thousands of people without power. Los Angeles bearing the brunt of the storm, but the monster system is now slowly shifting to the south towards San Diego. Fox Weather's Robert Ray has more.
Streets across Southern California quickly filling up with water on Monday as an atmospheric river hovered over the region. The slow-moving storm dropping up to 9 inches of rain in some areas, causing landslides and sending debris through neighborhoods. Multiple communities are evacuating their homes as more rain falls.
Limit non-essential travel. It is safer inside. One of those things is the amount of rainfall, the low visibility, and then also the roadways of flooding. Just limit your chances.
It's the second major storm to hit the state in less than a week. The heavy rain, combined with an already saturated ground, is causing trees and power lines to topple. In Northern California, the storm left behind widespread damage over the weekend, with wind gusts topping 80 miles per hour in some places. Hundreds of thousands of customers were left without electricity.
No lights at all, no street lights, no traffic lights, and just everybody trying to do the best they can pretty much with nothing to help guide them.
Emergency crews are out responding to calls for downed trees and power outages. But they say as the damage piles up, teams may have to prioritize calls.
And it got to the point where we had to figure out what we could go to, what was a priority and what wasn't. If it didn't have power lines involved, a home involved, or completely blocking a roadway, that call could have been deferred.
State officials have mobilized over 8,500 first responders to help with these search and rescue missions while all of this rain continues. In Los Angeles, Robert Ray, Fox Weather.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the Middle East this week, continuing efforts to cool tensions in the region. He met with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince yesterday. Blinken is hoping to rally support to end the war in Gaza and to bring Hamas-held hostages home. But he's facing major challenges. Hamas and Israel are still far apart on key elements of a possible truce. And Iran-backed militants remain undeterred from targeting U.S. troops. On Capitol Hill, the Senate's newly proposed $118 billion border deal and foreign aid package is at risk of collapsing as skepticism over the bipartisan bill continues to grow. Republicans opposed to the legislation claim it is simply too weak. Fox News congressional correspondent Aisha Hasni has that.
These are not Republican talking points. This is what we have been told by the experts on the ground. It includes Border Patrol agents, officers, longtime veterans of the agency.
Moments after the House Speaker said that, the Border Patrol Union endorsed the Senate's border deal, saying while not perfect, it is a step in the right direction. On the Hill, though, the bipartisan bill getting bipartisan backlash. In the Senate, 3 on the left are already against it, and no Republicans other than Leader Mitch McConnell and lead negotiator James Lankford publicly support it. Today, NRSC Chair Steve Daines, a member of leadership, announced he's a no.
Is this a big blow?
Well, it's looking at the political aspect of it. Steve Daines has a particular job.
You think that's what's going on now, that people who are opposed to this bill, it's not really about the text or what the contents of the bill, but it's really about the politics?
I have some people that have approached me just point blank and said it's presidential election year, don't do anything that helps Biden.
The bill secures $20 billion for the southern border, just 1/3 of the amount going to Ukraine. Negotiators say its policies will end catch and release, expand detention capacity for families, raise asylum standards, fast-track asylum claims, give out work permits to those who qualify, add $650 million for the border wall, and include a mandatory shutdown of the border when encounters hit a rolling average of 5,000 people in a single week. A shutdown that would likely happen on the first day of this law, as encounters are currently averaging around 7,000 a day. But House Republicans aren't buying it.
It's like they were trying to sell us on Gucci, but really it's the package that the guy around the corner in the alley pulled out of his trunk.
Speaker Johnson plans to take up a standalone Israel aid bill this week as Senate Leader Chuck Schumer calls the Speaker's bluff, teeing up a vote on this package at the same time.
You know that it has to be bipartisan. The bill that you passed didn't get a single Democratic vote in the House or the Senate. How are you going to get anything done?
On Capitol Hill, I'm Aisha Hasni, Fox News.
All eyes on the U.S. Supreme Court this week. Justices will hear oral arguments in what's shaping up to be the biggest election case ruling in more than 20 years. On Thursday, the High Court will review the Colorado Supreme Court's unprecedented decision to remove former President Donald Trump from that state's primary ballot. Trump's eligibility to hold office again is being challenged in more than a dozen states over his alleged role in the Capitol riots on January the 6th. His opponents are arguing that the Constitution's 14th Amendment disqualifies him. King Charles III facing a potentially deadly battle, the British monarch stepping back from some of his royal duties while undergoing treatment for cancer. A royal source says it is not prostate cancer, but did not further elaborate on the diagnosis. That news coming after the 75-year-old king underwent treatment for an enlarged prostate.
Yeah, it was a shock, definitely. I think nobody thought of it. It was hard to hear it, and I hope the best, actually. But I also heard that it wasn't that bad, fortunately. So we hope all the best, and we pray for him. That's all we can do now.
God save the king. A new study suggests a Category 6 intensity level should be added to the scale that measures hurricane strength. A new category would more accurately describe storms with 192 mile-per-hour winds or higher. It would also help people focus on the worsening risks. Researchers fear hurricanes are getting stronger as global temperatures continue to rise. And finally, if you're looking for a place to flush the memories of your ex this Valentine's Day, look no further. The recycled paper products company Who Gives a Crap wants to turn your ex's love letters into toilet paper. Just mail the company your old letters, birthday cards, and date night receipts and have them turned into eco-friendly toilet paper. I'm Kevin Cork, wishing you a very pleasant flight. For more news, be sure to, go to our website, foxnews.com/mobile. You can get all the news you need on the go. And also another reminder, don't forget to always download our apps.